I want to emphasize and make this peaceful component of my life a part of my martial art, an even more significant part of my martial art than has been to date. Maybe I can achieve that, maybe I can't. A lot of emphasis already goes into the fact that we should think of peaceful responses before anything else. I've gone to great pains to build that into my training program, and I take pride in the fact that all of my students have a sense of how to deal with situations on both what I think of as a reactive level, but also on very, very peaceful levels. And hopefully all of my students have got an acute sense of this process. What better to carry the skills to kill or maim, but never have to use them? Or what better to carry the skills to kill or maim and choose never to use them? What better to carry the skills to hurt someone and never use those skills? I like that game. I think that is something that really, really attracts me. I think a lot about the balance between my classical martial art, which is a whole lot more reactive than my own personal so-called peaceful response system, and how the two can be brought together. And I'm really, really pleased that I have found that the two are, like everything else in my existence, merely ends of a continuum, and that they are an inextricable part of each other and cannot be separated. One of the most important components of this peaceful response mindset is to recognize that the process of touch, the process of receiving uki and assault, the process of dealing with that assault is all a communicative process. I don't view it or see it as one person against another confrontationally. I see it as a tactile dialogue, if you like. I've never used that phrase before, tactile dialogue, but for me it is exactly that. It is a process of communication, because when I protect myself from violence and respond in a way which protects me and at the same time allows the other person to walk away unharmed, not only is that deeply satisfying, but it has conveyed throughout the process, it has conveyed a very, very powerful message to the other person, and one that hopefully they will take on board and use as a lesson. Anyone who studies the Shinseido Shorin-ryu system should study the process of peaceful response and hone that skill to a very high level, because that is what makes Shinseido Shorin-ryu what it is. Learning to have a deep sense of empathy is part of this process. Learning to see things from the other person's point of view. I do it as a matter of course and without thinking, all the time. I'm looking at people watching, I'm looking at them, I'm looking at their body language, or the way they move, the way they talk, everything about them, and assessing how they feel, what are they thinking, what is their intent, what is their emotive, their emotional state. This should be an integral part of martial arts anyway, but certainly for me it is probably one of the most significant parts far and away more powerful and more useful and more important than punching, kicking and blocking. I actually have a problem with the term martial art because it implies militaristics, warfare, and that is a million miles from where I am. There is absolutely nothing martial about what I do at all. It's more in the nature of a civil defence, a personal defence, a self-defence, with no connections with militaristics whatsoever. And so the very use of the word martial to describe the things I do gives me a problem. The term karate, again, is a problem for me, not because of its meanings, Tang hand, Chinese hand. I refuse to acknowledge the modernism empty hand, but because it has other connotations in the public mind. As soon as I mention the term karate to a member of the public, they are misperceiving where I am with my art come science. What to do, what to call the art that I pursue. Goshinjutsu, self-defense. Jieho, self-defense. Maybe that's a term. Self-preservation, maybe that's a term. But at the end of the day, my orientation, my mindset, my very being, my heart is in the process of peaceful response, harmony. There's clearly a great deal more that I could say about peaceful response. I wanted you to gain an insight into my perceptions and to reveal where I am with regard to my martial arts.